Together. My name's Nathan.
My name is Raymond.
And this is our first episode, so we're going to play it by ear, but we're just going to talk about things that we enjoy, things that interest us, right? Some examples of that can be leadership, finance, obviously business, being successful, discipline, fitness, cars, so pretty wide variety of things that I feel like a lot of people have in common and can relate to. And we're not anything crazy, just two brothers wanting to have a good time, have a conversation, and share it with the world.
Yeah, it's just topics we normally talk about anyway on a day-to-day basis. I mean, and it'd be great to be able to pass it on any knowledge we can if it's helpful to anybody, and learn some stuff at the same time while we're at it.
Yeah, so it's pretty much just shooting the shit and here for you guys to enjoy.
Enjoy.
All right, bro. So how you been?
I've been good. Busy. Had to do some work on the trailers today. But other than that, it was great. Manny's birthday.
Nice. Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't make
birthday.
that.
Yeah, well, shit happens.
I know, it looked like a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. The VR, you played like VR last time.
The VR room last time was a great time. When we went for Cameron's bachelor party, it was a phenomenal time. Did you guys do another VR room or like a game?
No, so we did a VR room, and we did the hardest one, which is the escape the train.
Okay.
It's
the
this
train?
This crazy.
Did
yeah,
you...
so it's this crazy guy who wants to blow up a town for revenge for a mad scientist. So, and then since we only ended up with 9 people, it was 2 groups of 5 and 4, right?
Yeah.
My group was me, Cameron, Jay, one of her friend's husband, and Melanie.
Okay.
And then the other group was Mandy, Henry, Idemi, and Bernice. That's 5. And Nimsy.
Did Mandy specifically want to be in the opposite team as you, or was she just...
No, so initially she said she was going to join me. But then, I was like, you sure you don't want to play with your friends? And she was like, no, I'll join with you. And then Melanie jumped in and said, no, I'm going to play with Ray because I want to win.
Damn. So already we know who won.
Yeah. Well, we didn't beat it, but we escaped.
That's a lie.
Hold up. 1 second. We escaped.
They got the consolation prize.
All right. We escaped. We did all the escape room stuff, and we escaped, and we were fighting the boss at the end and trying to kill him now or destroy him.
Yeah.
Right, stop him. And we ended up dying. It was over. Our time ran out, and the bombs exploded. We saved the town, but we died in the process.
Fuck it.
Right.
Go down. Blaze of glory.
It was too bad. We were 1 shot away from beating him. After talking to the owner of the place, he was like, "Yeah, once you get to the reflect, when you need to shoot to do reflect the bullets, he goes, you only have to hit them twice, and that's it. It's over." It was so that bummed me out a little bit, but it was fun.
Damn.
And then obviously Koji ramen.
I had a good time.
Yeah.
Had some ramen. Ramen's always good.
Yeah. What about you? How was work?
I've been busy. Work schedule's been interesting. It's been like a 12 to 9 schedule, so, it's been really intrusive on your daily life.
Should probably tell them what you do.
I guess, yeah. I'm a propulsion test engineer, so I'm a rocket engineer, and I test rockets. Rocket engines, to be specific. But yeah, so the testing schedule has been really interesting. It's in the middle of the day, so it's 12 to 9, and it feels like you wake up and you all think you have enough time to do stuff, but then you realize when you factor in breakfast, taking a shower, and your commute, there's like an hour and a half of your life gone.
And traffic.
Plus traffic.
Because California traffic.
Because we all know we love California traffic. But yeah, so that's been cool. I was test conductor, so I was El Honcho calling the shots, so that was nice, really get into the flow of things, Luckily, we have a lot of, written out instructions already that aren't too crazy difficult to follow, but you know, as everyone can tell nowadays, reading can be hard. Especially, you know, if you live in America, where like our literacy level is like that of like a 8th grader. So
Yeah, I've heard we're pretty far behind other countries.
yeah, generally in education we're lower when you're talking about like public schooling and whatnot. I do know in the university and upper division education sectors we're higher than average. Obviously, we have like the Stanfords, the MITs, the Caltechs, you know, the Berkeleys, the UCLAs and stuff. But then, you know, the rest of the world has like Oxford, and I'm sure there's other prestigious universities that we haven't heard of because we live in America and we're very isolated from a lot of the happenings in the world.
True. I mean, I feel like they hide a lot of stuff from us sometimes.
I don't know if they hide it. I feel like it's more like
selective.
the attention span of the American person is very us versus them, and as such, it's very much like, oh, if it's not concerning with America, it's not.
I feel like it's more
interesting.
People's attention span is too short now, so they don't take the interest in caring about other subjects that it takes a longer time to take interest into.
No, I definitely.
You know what I mean? I mean, people's attention span now is like so short. They want instant gratitude, or they want their products delivered so quickly.
Oh yeah, it definitely, you can see that in all of American culture and what they value. Just take, for example, the fact that TikTok became such a big thing, right? Which is just a recreation of Vine, which is originally 5-second videos to capture your attention. It's an instant dopamine hit to your brain. And we're talking thousands of hours of content, and it's an instant gratification. You swipe it, it's something new. You swipe it, it's something new.
Instagram does the same thing.
Whoever invented the infinite scroll is a mad fucking genius. That man or woman, evil genius.
Gotta watch your cousin. Well, I guess our first episode doesn't matter. We're not gonna get demonetized.
That's true. We're not doing this for a profit anyways.
Yeah, that's true. You were telling me, you mentioned something when you were talking with your coworker Mike.
Oh, yeah. So, we had a discussion about the difference between how we classify a fact, a truth, and a belief.
Okay.
Because ultimately I told him I really only view things in one of two ways. If something's factual, it's a fact, as in there is empirical data to support that, right? The Earth is round, you know, gravity's a real thing, you know, velocity's a real thing, acceleration's a real thing, like physics is a real thing, and you know, you need water to survive.
I mean, some may say that physics is only an observational theory. There's physics because we observe physics.
Our theories of physics are beliefs.
Right, because like I've been hearing a lot about that now. Like, in that the universe is only the way we see it because we are observing it in that manner.
Well, yeah, obviously, when you get into like deep.
So how factual can that actually be? Now that brings into question your facts about everything.
No, it does.
I mean? To an extent,
it does make you question. But what I was going to say is that a lot of the theories in physics, the postulates, the laws, are all beliefs that we have. We're talking about what I meant by fact is like it is a fact that you need water to survive. Nobody's going to refute.
I see what
nobody's going to refute that undeniable, fact, right? Or you need, you need oxygen, you need food, things of that nature. And then a lot of stuff that people think are truths, I believe that it's just a subcategorization or a specific version of a belief. Because, in my opinion, a belief is something that is opinionated on a subject, right? So, for example, it could be my belief that, we should have 5 to 15 lanes, freeways to reduce traffic. Right? It's a belief. It's something I hold, or I could say I could believe that.
More like you believe that adding extra lanes to a highway would reduce traffic to an extent, but
yeah.
Research has shown that don't work, right?
Exactly. Or it could be like, I believe that in order to be happy, you need to not care what other people think, right?
Mm-hmm.
But someone else, right, arguably so, because being happy is such a
being happy is a personal perspective.
Exactly. It's a very case by case.
It is individual by individual. Like,
yes,
it is different per individual.
And as such, you are going to see that, what I believe makes people happy isn't going to be what you believe or what someone else believes. It's going to be, a case by case basis, right? Some people, are happy living by the beach, and they work their job, they go to the beach, they have a good time, they do their things, they have their hobbies, and they don't want more than that, and that's enough. And that's,
some people love doing they work their day and then they want their time off.
Yeah,
and they
enjoy right. And so, like, stuff. Some people, want to work and then just go to the mountains, and that's what they have a great work-life balance, and etc. Some people want to be the richest man in the world, and they believe that they can believe that they're going to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I said that
like
truth,
the fisherman story.
Yeah. Teach a man, give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach a man a fish, feed him for a lifetime. Right? But what I was saying is that a truth, right, like a personal truth that you hold to be true, is equivalent to a belief. Because you can say it's my personal truth, right, that, that I think, we should not, force children into a very standardized school structure because it's been proven that it doesn't work for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. It's still a belief. It's still something that is opinionated, that doesn't have any cold, hard, like rock solid, data behind it, or a fact. Like,
right, but I mean, there's so many things that even if they have rock solid research or in research behind it, right, to prove it consistently for a number of times, it's still a belief. It can be a fact.
Exactly.
So it's hard to distinguish between a fact and the truth. There's the hard facts where if you get stabbed in the heart, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Like, that's that. But you might not die. I mean, there's people that have gotten shot in the brain and they still survive, right?
It's definitely a wide spectrum, and I feel like the truth is something that is a belief.
A truth
is a form of a belief.
Okay.
Right? Because the discussion ultimately resulted in us agreeing to disagree, or I classified a truth as just another version of a belief, maybe a subcategory that might have some more data behind it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, for example, it is true that, the world is round, right? But when you really look at the data, it's not round. It's elliptical.
Mm-hmm.
The world is an ellipse.
It's an oval shape more.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Ellipse.
And, I mean, you can get deeper. The Earth is round. If you count it, the surface would be the atmosphere of the surface. But if you count the surface of the Earth itself,
it has mountains, valleys, crests, and things of that nature. So a truth may just have a little bit more evidence behind it, right? But I still classified it as a belief.
Right, and what did Mike say?
Where Mike differed is that he said a truth can be, it has some sort of empirical data to back it. So his main point of view was very personal, in the sense of where he said, if I do something and I make you upset, it is your truth that you are upset, right?
Okay, but that's a truth. That doesn't mean it's off. I guess it's a fact. It's a personal fact.
It's a personal fact.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what I said is it's still a belief, right? It's a different kind of belief. It's, I believe that I was wronged, and as such, I am upset.
But then that leads you to another topic that I truly believe in, is that if you allow, by getting angry at something somebody did to you, then you are allowing them to control your emotions.
Yeah, I agree.
In a sense, you're giving them control over you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so then that pushes out the fact that it out. It's not a fact.
It's not
it's
a fact,
truth.
which was what I was trying to.
I could see
convey.
his point of view. Did he give you another example? Because I see his point of view in the sense of maybe a belief, a truth could be something you've done multiple times, and it's succeeded, and the calculations have turned out, or, in a sense. But then it's disproven by someone else.
So you're talking about like the law of gravity.
Yeah, the law, or what do they say? Like, when you do something so many times, you're like, this is a fact. It happens. Right? I consistently do this. I consistently do this thing, and I get a consistent result. But when someone else does it, and maybe 5 or 6 people do it and get the same result as you, and now you're thinking it's a fact or a truth, but it ain't. As soon as the 7th or 8th person disproves it, then you don't get the same result.
Yeah, I agree. I can agree. The sample size for a truth is relatively small, whereas like a fact, it is a indisputable large sample size, right? Whereas a fact that every human is gonna die, period. You're born.
As far as we know.
You live. You die. Those are the only things that are guaranteed. When those things happen, and why those things happen, are out of your control, right? But they're all facts, right? And how you form your belief system is different, right? So I'm not saying I'm inherently correct, because once again I said this is a belief, right? I believe that
and that
it's ultimately right. So I can't prove anything. So the conversation isn't about who was right or wrong, but more of like understanding his point of view versus my point of view, where he subcategorized belief and fact and truth almost on a spectrum, where he said truth is all the way on the left, for example, and belief is all the way on the right.
An example.
And a truth is, down the middle, somewhere down the middle, right? Like, it's not exactly a belief, because he classified a belief like something that had no data, like zero data. Like, for example, example, I believe dinosaurs are still real.
Okay.
So right? It'd be a nonsensical belief that has no logic behind it, right? And the truth would be like, I guess.
I don't feel like that was a good example, because there are some dinosaurs that are alive, that came from the animals that came from the dinosaur era.
Do we call them dinosaurs though?
We don't call them. We don't call them dinosaurs.
It's a technicality. I get what you're saying.
Technicality,
the birds are descendants of dinosaurs.
And so are whales. Humpback whales, the big blue ones. They are descendants. They are literally dinosaurs. Okay. So and that one has been proven.
From that point of view, yes.
Okay, that one has been proven. I'm not saying, I get your point.
Right.
But I'm just saying, like, that example wasn't that great. There is living dinosaurs. Right?
Okay.
One that we know of.
Multiple, if you want to get that
into account. Well, I mean, if you start counting descendants.
There's the shark, there's the whale, there's all the whales. There is the chicken.
Well, the one that they count as an actual dinosaur would be the blue whale, the humpback whale, the humongous one, the one that eats the.
What about the giant squid?
Crow. Oh, the giant squid.
You know, the one that eats blue whales.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, the ocean has a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff that hasn't changed for a very long time because they've adapted so well to their environment.
Well, I mean, there's not like much changes in the ocean at the depths that they live in, right?
I guess, yeah, you're right. The only thing that changes maybe weather cycles of when and where, they migrate to get food or whatever, but that's a year by year or decade by decade basis.
Yeah, but I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying, and what Mike was trying to say.
Yeah, right? I understood what he was saying. He was saying something like it's from what I understood, it's a truth that you believe. It's something that you believe to be wholeheartedly true. So from his definition,
it's a belief,
right? It's still a belief, right? From my definition, but from his definition, he's like, it is a truth that not caring what other people think about you will make your life easier, right? And there's some
It'll make
data,
your life less stressful.
Exactly.
For
There's
sure,
some data
definitely.
that definitely, shows that if you care less of what people think about you, you think about what they think about you less. And as such, you don't get the anxiety, the stress, or the
I feel
all
like
the other
more
feelings that you get with, the
In
complexity of human interactions.
I feel what that actually does is more of a let you be yourself without feeling like you can't be yourself because someone thinks that in that sense is retarded or that it's not cool or not right for you to act that way or to be that way, right? Because it inconveniences them or makes them feel a certain way. I think not caring what people think about you, learning not to care, because it's not simple, right? Most people are raised to care because their parents.
No, yeah,
right?
I would agree.
You care what your parents think when you're young, right? As you grow up. But eventually it's more of to figure out that you just have to be yourself without worrying what others think of you, who you are.
Yeah, and
because some people will like you, some people won't like you.
Yeah, ultimately we mean obviously be yourself in the sense of be true to who you are, how you want to act,
to your beliefs.
To your beliefs.
Right.
But you do still have to show the common decency of, being respectful to others. Like, right? Not trying to force your beliefs on others, right? I understand.
Yes, but that's a different. Now you're touching a different realm. That's a respectful. That's more of a learn to agree to disagree subject.
Yeah, which is what so many people can't do. Or not can't. Can't's not the right word. Won't, or refuse to learn or acknowledge, because
they refuse to do it because they feel like that their belief is correct wholeheartedly, or that,
because
that
they believe that their belief is a truth.
Yes.
And if it's a truth, it's something you identify with.
But I also see Mike's point of view in where a belief can turn into a truth.
Yeah, I like
for
something,
you, but
like,
it's more of I feel like that's more of a personal, per person case basis.
Yeah, like for example, your purpose in life, whatever it may be, whatever you deem it may be, it can be your truth, right? Mm-hmm. It is your truth. Right, but the key word in there is your. It's individual, right, and it's not the truth for everyone, right? Yeah. So it is still a belief, right? And so ultimately, we did, come to the consensus that we don't agree on how we classify a truth versus a belief, right? Mm-hmm. But I understood what he meant, right, and he understood what I meant. But I guess his mantra was that there's certain things that have a little bit that are more, I guess, for lack of a better term, believable, right? Like that are truths. Like, for example. For example, right? Mm-hmm. In life, I think it's important to learn to speak up for yourself.
Okay.
That's a belief of mine, right? It doesn't inherently have to be true for everybody, but it is more plausible and more understandable than I believe the Cookie Monster still exists. Right? That is a nonsensical belief.
Hey, but a Cookie Monster exists in my house, bro. So when there's cookies here, they're gone.
Yeah. But
I'm
still.
just messing. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Okay.
So yeah, that was an interesting conversation we had. Yeah, it was interesting because most of the time when you have a conversation like that where you fundamentally disagree on something, like we said, people tend to try to convince you of their point of view instead of try to understand your point of view and get you to understand theirs.
Yeah, that comes into the subject of agreeing to disagree. You got to learn to be able to. Maybe you don't got to. You don't have to learn. I believe you should learn to agree to disagree, to understand that someone else's point of view is their point of view right?
Yeah.
And not force your point of view on them, even if it's different, unless they ask for your opinion in what your point of view is, and if they choose to change, then that's on them. Because at the end of the day, you can't forcefully make anybody change.
Yeah. Even if you believe that your point of view is right, or you're in the right, you still can't make them change. You can't.
And it is hard.
Force them.
It is hard to fight that habit. I know what.
Yeah,
I know it was for me.
Because
to try to
people want
tell people.
You
know.
You want to, for lack of a better term, preach to them what you think has worked, what you know has worked for you, and has helped you, and as such you think that it's going to help others.
Yeah,
right?
I know I do it in the sense to help people, so I don't see them suffering. I don't like seeing people suffer.
I don't like seeing people suffer.
I don't like people going through
unnecessarily, like where they make their own life more difficult. Right?
Yes.
Or it's lack of knowledge, or lack of access to information, which is a really funny thing to say when we have the internet now.
I mean, yeah, everything's at your fingertips.
Everything's at your fingertips. Information. You just have to look hard enough and read enough. I don't think it's a coincidence that we're seeing a lot of very successful people, become successful from alternative education because of the internet.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've always felt school wasn't the way when I was in school wasn't structured for me to learn. I didn't feel like I learned best at school, right? Having ADHD, it was having to read things that I had zero interest in. I did not read. I did not study on my own.
Mm-hmm.
It was no hands-on, nothing. So it wasn't until college where I got to choose what I wanted to learn that I did better. But I still had struggles with professors. I had to switch professors because their teaching style was just did not match with me.
No, yeah, I understand that. Not everyone learns the same. And especially when, you have a preferred learning method. And there's everybody has preferred learning styles and methods. And the ways you learn better. I know, like, a distinctive example between you and myself is that you're a very visual learner. You can see something, see someone do something, replicate it relatively quickly without needing to practice it.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas myself, I'm more of an auditory learner. If I hear something, hear instructions, I can remember them, or process them easier, better than visual.
Auditorily, someone can tell me instructions, but after one or two steps, I need to hear it again. I will not remember it. I don't even remember people's names when I first meet them. I mean, I had to see it. Hey man, I don't blame you, dude. People's names are hard. Right. And I think it all comes down to schools are more designed to make workers, in the sense of somebody who's used to going 9 to 5, follow instructions, do things. It doesn't benefit people who think differently than almost everyone, who doesn't want to just go to the flow. They want to they are different, so they want to be different from the majority of people. I get you.
I could definitely see
right?
that.
And most of those people end up being entrepreneurs, right? Or artists.
I'd say they're not people who go with the flow and work your traditional job.
I mean, you're right. You
have your traditional lifestyle. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to be like, I don't want to live this, work 40 hours a week, come home to a mortgage and only have my weekends. And you can be like, fuck this. I want to go climb all the mountains in the world and live in a van and drive around the United States or wherever I am and just live the van life. And, do odd jobs here and there.
how do they get jobs, right? Like, how are they going to make income? They're going to be, most of those people that do that they start some side company or side, like, online business, something.
I wouldn't say all
passive.
of them.
I didn't say all of them. I said most of them. Because
I feel like your sample size is too small.
No, it's the best way. If you clearly think about it, they're an entrepreneur going that route. Even if it's not I'm not telling that they're trying to build $1 million, $10 million company. They're trying to do live the van, make the $200,000 a year, a little business that pays them an extra $2,000 a month for themselves that they can use to just travel anywhere. You know, the drop shipping. Everybody heard the drop shipping model.
I think that is one avenue. I think the fact that you can still backpack across the United States, hitch rides from people, right, is still a thing. Work odd jobs to get the money you need to survive, because when we're being honest, you don't need that much money to really keep yourself alive. If you're not maintaining a house, an electricity bill, a phone bill, an internet bill, all the
but now you change the subject from if you live hitchhikers. If you live in the van life.
If you live in the van life, dude, I can, for example, have the initial investment. We'll say it's $15,000 that I saved up because I worked a 9-to-5 job, whatever, saving my money so I can do this because this is what my passion is. I save the money. I build the van. I go do it. I end up in, I don't know, Colorado. There's a lot of mountains in Colorado. I'm sure there's a lot of great climbing places over there, right? Go there. I can offer to, do odd jobs for people, repair their sink, mow their lawn, walk their dogs, shit like that. People are lazy. They don't want to do shit. You're going to be able to find money.
At the end of the day, you're not working for somebody. You're self-employed.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean
technically an entrepreneur.
I feel like entrepreneur has had a bad rap recently.
No, entrepreneur has a bad rap.
People had a bad rap because everybody wants to. It's the new fad. When you go to LA,
is the new fad, but
you go to LA. I'm an entrepreneur. I do this. Blah 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 blah.
They've taken it
actual
into an entrepreneur only being somebody who wants to run a business. You can be an entrepreneur just because you don't want to work for somebody. You work for yourself. Those are jobs. You still end up working for yourself. You decide if you want to go do it or not.
Obviously. So
you're an entrepreneur. You decide what you're doing.
Yeah, but the way you were saying entrepreneur was establishing a business, and they're not. I don't think people that do this. I don't think a majority of people that do this van life establish a business. I think they have a savings and they work off their
nowadays it might have changed more now because now you have a lot of remote work.
It's definitely more possible to have
more work.
Remote work, right?
But most of those jobs. You've had to have some kind of career, like you graduated with a degree, to do a lot of the remote jobs. There is a few customer service, or you learn the skill. I mean, a lot of customer service, right? Customer service is one that you can do anywhere, right? Like,
you can get on a phone call and
as long as you have a laptop, internet, and a phone,
and an Indian accent, you're good.
You don't forget. Right. Like Apple hires, right? And you work from your home part time. They even they send you to training.
Yeah, but that's a recent thing, though.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's a recent thing, so that might have changed. But I'm telling you,
I definitely agree that opening there's more opportunities now to do things differently than your traditional baby boomer. I'm gonna go to college,
or Gen X,
or
Gen parents.
I'm gonna go to college. I'm gonna go to spend 4 years. I'm gonna get a degree. I'm gonna work a job. I'm gonna find a company. I'm gonna work for them, and I'm gonna work for them for 25, 30 years. Build up a pension and retire. Right. Obviously, that route is still there if you want to do that. But
I feel like that really depends on the company you work for.
No, I agree. And the person, because some people just, I'm gonna be honest with you, some people just want to only have to worry about going to work, doing their job, coming home, and then doing whatever the fuck they want with their life. right? Which is fair. I understand that. If that's enough for you, that is your truth, right? That is your truth. You decide that that is enough for you.
Yeah.
But that may not be enough for everybody, right? Or they may not be the route that everybody wants to take, because let's face it, companies look at employees like they're
most companies.
Yes, most companies look like employees like they're expendable and replaceable because
they look at them as a tool.
Because a lot of the time, you are, right? Unfortunately, right? And there's no more that loyalty and or appreciation from the company that they understands that without all of the workers working for them, they wouldn't be able to do their multi-billion-dollar business, right? Because at the end of the day, you need to pay the guy in your copy room. You need to pay the guy, in your warehouse. You need to pay the guy manning your forklift. You need to pay the person doing the scheduling, and all of that, right? And if all those people just decide to quit on you, the company would stop still, right? And before,
but I feel that
seemed like there was appreciation, and now it's definitely more profit driven, and the companies only care about profit.
So I don't know, I don't remember what it's called, the exact words, but it's where a group of people can only keep track of up to individually 150 people in your circle. That's like it's 150 people in your village or your town, right? And things were a lot smaller back then, right? These people, they did the pension, that the companies, they seemed to care more because there were more, and they knew the people more that they were hiring.
No, yeah, I do agree.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do agree. When you
more
become
of
a
like
multi-billion-dollar or multi-million-dollar
it was more of a small,
company,
like those small towns. Like,
there's a disconnect. I agree that there's a disconnect.
Yeah. But I feel like that comes down to the managers and the leaders.
I don't think it comes down to the manager and the leaders. Yes, to a certain degree it does. But I think it comes down to the culture that you establish at your company or at your business, right? And as you grow,
I feel it's what you let slide.
Look, all I'm saying is that there are companies that still care for their employees.
No,
right?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. From my experience.
For example, In-N-Out always pays their employees more than minimum wage.
Yeah,
whatever
but
the value is.
In-N-Out is different. In-N-Out is different.
In-N-Out is still singular owned. It's not looking just for profit.
In-N-Out doesn't just hire.
4 states, and all the In-N-Out locations need to be within like 250 miles or 1 day's time on the road away from one of their farms that provides them with their ingredients.
Yeah, their fresh product.
Yes. So,
but see, this is what distinguishes In-N-Out. See, you pointed out a good company, and then also proves my point. In-N-Out is one of the few companies that, but when they promote you to a manager, which is a leadership role, position, as you will be managing and leading that one In-N-Out that you're going to work at, you're going to be managing, they send you to their university. They train you on how to be a great manager / leader.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what's made the difference. Because I've talked to many people that work in and out. I have to this day not heard anybody say bad things about it.
No.
About somebody who, even their managers are paid exceptionally. I mean, they make over $100,000 in that manager, even $150,000.
When you get to the top tier managers, yes.
Right.
Yes, I actually found out recently there's levels to the manager system in In-N-Out. There's level 1 manager up to, I think it's like a level 8 or 9, and level 8 and 9 are the ones that are paid very, very handsomely. Obviously, like level 4, if I remember correctly, it's like $67,000 a year, which is still pretty well when you think about it. It's a degree. It's a job that requires no degree and just you working to hours.
At In-N-Out, and they only hire managers from existing employees.
Yes,
they move people up.
Yes,
right. So you just proved my point that for a great company, it doesn't just come down to just like the disconnect. The disconnect happens because the leader, the one at the top, the owner of the business hires on managers that are not great, not trained, and they don't get rid of them quickly, or they don't get rid of them at all because they don't see it. Many people are or they don't care enough, right? And in there, you show they do care. This is why they train their managers.
No, I don't.
And I talked to a manager at In-N-Out where we used to live in Riverside, and he told me, you go to the school, they teach you manager, and then the other half of the classes are leadership. How to lead people, how to treat people. Because from my experience, owners of businesses are super grateful to their employees.
Yeah, because they understand
that if it wasn't for them, they wouldn't be where they're at right now. Their business wouldn't be where it's at.
Yeah.
You know? And there's always the manager that ends up being hard to do results. I'm going to cut laybacks or produce to show that they're profiting or to show they're making money or not.
Yes, which comes down to the culture you establish. Because the culture established at In-N-Out is upheld from the top level downward. It is an idea and a philosophy from a family.
So in a sense, we're both right then.
No, yeah, I do agree that it's not just one thing. Obviously, you can't just say that this is our culture, at this company. You can say you can have this culture, and it's going to fix all of the issues, right? No, you need to say that your culture is X, Y, and Z, but also continuously uphold that and hold people to those standards.
Yes, hold people accountable to what you want to be your culture. Yes. Right? You want great leaders, so you train them to be great managers or great leaders.
Because not every leader is born. Some leaders are made.
No, all leaders. Some very few are born great leaders.
Exactly. Not everybody. Very
few, but most leaders are made.
Yeah, they're made.
But it's because they want to be made leaders. They want to lead and actually inspire the good ones. There's people that want to lead. Yes, there's people
that want to lead for the power, which is all too common, right? Mm-hmm. But leaders are important, and I guess you need to understand that as a leader, while you may be leading people, you're not above people or better than them. You're just another person in a different position who is being trusted. Who is being trusted to guide others.
Yeah, and most people that they're right. A lot of people that get into manager positions or leadership positions, they feel that they just need to order people around and be above them, and not.
You not care for them.
Yeah, not necessarily not care for them, because some people care, but they still feel that they need to have a separation between them, like between the employees and leaders, right, or the managers. Like, don't get close to them, don't get to know each other, right, personally.
Yeah.
I feel that it's not about being separated. It's not about I'm managing these people. No, that's my team. We are a team. It should be more of a team, and you don't send them to war. Mm-hmm. You go together to war. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree.
You all go together. Whatever you ask an employee to do, or you ask somebody you're in charge of to do, you should
be willing
to do it. You should start with the example of doing it.
Exactly. You should lead by example.
You should never feel above anything.
You should eat what you preach. You should eat what you preach.
You should eat what you cook.
Yeah,
I just made that one up.
That's a good better saying,
Better than the preach one.
But yeah, right. If you're in a leader position, you have to be willing to obviously take the inputs from all of the people, of your team that you're leading. Why? Because it is important to understand everyone's point of view and opinion on whatever the task at hand may be.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I feel like that all too often, specifically in business, isn't something that's done. And that, I think, is an example of a culture thing. right? Where in
Okay.
business, it's a manager. Manager makes a schedule, right? You can request that, hey, my mom's birthday is the 12th. Can I not come in that day? But they're not going to really care, and they're going to be like, oh, that's too bad. You get scheduled anyways.
Yeah, there's
Why?
too
'Cause
many
tough
managers.
Tough titties, not my problem. I need to have people
Yeah.
here.
Yes.
It's a me win. I win, you
No,
lose.
yeah. It is to show, for me to look good to my boss, you get lose.
Yeah.
But when the manager needs the time off, they just take it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree in that sense. I feel in leadership's not just in business. Okay,
No, it's something. It's a life thing.
See, leadership's
sure.
a good topic. I like to talk about that one. I like that one. It's about leadership. I was reading Leadership of Gold, right? Or Leadership Gold was the book. And he mentions something I really like, that leadership is not about telling people what to do or guiding them, right? It's teaching them to be leaders and taking them with you wherever you go.
Yeah.
I
guess a leader is more of almost like a mentor.
Yes. You don't lead people to keep them subjugated, to keep them underneath you. No, you lead with the vision to bring everyone up with you to where you're going.
Yes.
Or where you want to go, or where the group wants to go. Right? The team. Right? He mentioned, the author mentions, he always sees his people that work for him that he pays, they're his team members. They're teams, yes, he pays them.
And they're part of his team.
But they're a team. They're all a team together. Nobody is higher than anybody. Yes. And I think that
they may not be higher, but they may be more specialized in a specific subject.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. It reminds me of how they picked planning in military movies or like war movies, where they go, you got to do this mission, right? And it's always like the commander, this is what we're doing, the XYZ, right? ABC in this order, and this group's going to do this. When in reality, it's not like that.
Yeah, so
right? In reality, I've heard from buddies that it's the commander says, this is the mission, now come up with the plan. The team comes up with the plan themselves. Then the commander reviews it, accepts it, or might they change a few things from his opinion. But it is a plan collaborated by everybody. Right? Because one mind can't be the perfect answer.
No, yeah, agreed. You can't know everything. You're not going to have the
you're not going to have the foresight or the experience that someone else might have.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Perspective, foresight, experience, way of thinking, train of thought, problem solving skills, all of that. It's different case by case basis. Certain scenarios might be better for certain people. Certain other scenarios might be better for others.
Well, some people might see something that you did not see.
Exactly, they have a different perspective,
or someone else, right?
Right. I know we always encounter this.
Yeah, we always get into shit.
We discuss how we're gonna do X, Y, or Z. Right, you always say, I think it's better to do it like this, and I say, okay, I see that, but I think it's, I think it might be better if we do it like this, and then here's why I think this way.
And there are times where I'm correct, and there are times where you're correct.
And there's times where we're both wrong, and we come up with a better idea.
Yep.
Right? But true. Without the input of each other, we wouldn't be able to come up with that, better idea.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And there's times where you just learn, this doesn't work in this circumstance because of these reasons. But, you can learn from the other person's perspective, right? Which is why I think it's always important for leaders to, when they're discussing with their team, to take everybody's opinions, and information.
Everybody's ideas
first
into account
before giving his idea.
Mm-hmm.
Or their idea.
Or
their idea.
I feel leader should let them come with an idea and let them run with it. Because you don't know, sometimes as leader, you don't know if their idea would be better than yours without actually implementing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
In certain scenarios, you're right, yeah.
I mean,
I can agree.
It's an example, right? You have a manager who tells you, we're going to do this, now figure out how we're going to, right, test the engine or set the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Set the schedule for these employees. Your lead, right? In your case, an example, right? So you come up with the schedule, right? Or you're trying to help them out, so you take initiative and create the schedule because you notice that your manager is busy, right, with meetings and whatnot. So you do the schedule, and then I feel like that's a scenario where they could run with your schedule. That if
or
a
just
boss
give you feedback.
or give you feedback
Because there's pieces of information that you may be missing.
might not have known.
That you might not.
Instead of saying,
instead
of telling you something in the lines of, "Thank you, but I'm gonna change it."
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like in that sense, that's not great. That's not great leadership. You're not leading in that sense. You're just, oh, thank you, but no thanks. Right? I feel like that's how that would make you feel. In that example, like, oh, I wasted my time. I shouldn't have even made the schedule.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of, thank you for making the schedule. Maybe we move this person here, or not even. Let's try it your way. You might know something I don't know.
Yeah, like there's the people on the ground, you know, the day-to-day people are going to have some pieces of information that the people up top aren't going to know. Why? Because their responsibilities are different. And
yeah, there's things and scenarios that happen at the bottom
that don't happen at the top,
that don't get told,
or don't get you know, moved or, you know, explained upwards.
Or,
it's not,
or not even that, quirks of people, their way they are, personalities, things that you might notice when you're working with these people, that they might be better at this, or they work better at this time, or better with this person. And to get them to perform at their best, somebody who knows them and works with them and sees their abilities and sees things that they're not good at, right? Their positives and negatives, could make a schedule in that sense better. To bring out effectiveness.
In this scenario, yeah.
Right?
Right?
I mean, it reminds me of...
I understand that. And yeah, you could make the schedule better.
The argument as a tech, engineers, and techs should work together in designing things.
No, yeah, definitely, because I'm sure we've all... Well, not all, but if you've ever worked on your car, for example, or a washing machine.
No, simple oil change in the old Celicas.
Or anything mechanical, and you're taking it apart, and in order to get to the simple thing that breaks often, you have to take off 5 things. For example, if you want to change your oil filter, and you take your, you know, intake off, and wiring harness, and, you know, exhaust, just to be able to reach your oil filter.
Great example is the 90s
design.
The 90s Celicas, Toyota Celicas, the ones that came with the GT4 one. I think it was the turbo all-wheel drive Celica. Little hatchet window. They showed an initial D. Okay, those are cool, right? But a lot of those older Toyotas had the oil filter located underneath the exhaust manifold, which is blazing hot. And when you take your car to the dealership, you just drove it. And most people want their car done
fast.
Because
most people don't have multiple cars. So the tech is there,
burning their arms or finding ways to do it carefully to change the oil. Like, those are things where you question as a technician, you question, why would you place this here?
Yeah.
Like, you question the engineer, what was the point of this?
Yeah.
It's the only place, but then you see open spaces other areas, you know? Was it cost? I mean, I guess there's factors you can't think of as a technician, right?
Yeah, I'm sure there's, you know, and I'm sure that sometimes when people design stuff,
or maybe
there's decisions that are made, you know, above their head by some manager, you know?
Or maybe it's financially designed, right?
Or maybe
Yeah.
it's cheaper to make it that way, right? And from a business standpoint, you can understand that. But I feel like you can accommodate more things than you think if you look at the big picture and not just focus on profits, right? Obviously, when you design a product and you're going to be selling it, the goal is to make money off the product, and the goal is also for the consumer to find the product of value so that they keep buying it.
Yeah. Or
right?
Useful.
Or useful.
Just find
exactly.
it useful.
Just find it useful. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's also not just the consumer, but also the people that work on it. Because, for example, if you're a car manufacturer, right, you manufacture the cars, you design them, you manufacture them, you sell them, and the majority of the time, your employees, your technicians, work on them.
Yeah, but I feel like they've learned in that sense, right?
Have they, though? I feel like car engine bays are getting more and more compact and more a pain in the ass to work on.
I feel like for a period, it changed, and they did, but now it's become more of how do you call it? I think now they're trying to get away from people being able to fix their own things, and so now they want it more specialized where you have to bring it to them, and so then, as they make it a little more complicated on purpose. You feel what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But back to the leadership subject, I wanted to ask you: would to you, what's a good leader? What do you consider somebody worthy of being called a great leader?
That's a tough question. Because it really depends on...
Well, what does it depend on for you?
It depends
on
a lot of things. This is
more of a belief thing, right? Like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
it's something that you believe
belief.
This is what makes a great leader.
Right, because depending on the space that you're in, depending on your field you're working in, not every leader is going to be the same, right? So, for example, people that have tough personalities, like in construction, are going to have a different style of leader than someone who works in the art industry with a bunch of artists, right? Just because their fields are so opposing and so different.
I think their core leadership skills should still be the same.
Yes, but how they go about it is different, right? So there's a lot of leaders out there, but there's many different ways to go about leadership, right?
Yeah, but what do you consider?
There's the Michael Jordans.
What do you consider?
Do your fucking job. And then there's the Tim Duncans, where it's like, hey man, do your job. Like, come on. Like, we're in this together, right?
No,
But yes, for lack of a better term, I think great leaders have...
What skills?
Vision, right?
Okay.
They have to have good, in my opinion, interpersonal skills, so be able to communicate well, right? And to understand and see the strengths and weaknesses of their team.
Okay.
Right? And value their opinion, right? And understand what matters, right? For the goal, right?
Okay.
They also have to be able to, I'd say, not panic in situations and be able to make tough decisions. Because as a leader, unfortunately, if you're in a leadership position, there'll come a time where eventually you're going to have to make a hard decision, right? Because in life, there is a series of hard decisions that have to be made, right? That includes leadership, right? So you may really like a guy as a leader, as a person, but he's not performing, and you try to help him, right? But he is underperforming, and he may not be the right fit for this team.
He may not.
Or he may require more training, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for this specific time frame or for this specific goal, he's not the right fit, right? Because there's time frames, if you have a team when you're okay with teaching someone and molding them, right? When there's other times when you that's not what you have time for, or that's not in the schedule. That's understandable too, right? So I think those are the qualities that can make a good leader.
Okay.
Obviously,
I feel like
last one. Obviously, I forgot to mention this. But they have to care for their team.
I agree with that. Agree they gotta care. But I feel more visionary. What I think makes a good leader, right, is slightly different than yours, right? Someone with the vision who can use the strengths, right, and weaknesses of the people of his team effectively and in the right positions. Somebody may not work in this position now, but if you see a leader sees the potential, even if it takes a little extra work, and they can lead this person to be the best them.
Yes.
For that.
Yes.
Area that they're in, right? Not necessarily just. But you're right. They do need to have the determination, I guess, the skill to be able to make the hard decisions, right? But is it really a hard decision when somebody, just an oddball, that doesn't want to play with the team in a sense, to get rid of them? That's not really a hard decision. You know what I mean?
Not inherently a hard decision when you're only looking at it from the team perspective, but I think a good leader doesn't only look at it from the team perspective, but the individual perspective, right? In the sense that, he may not be a good fit right now for this team, right? Because of the personnel but that person that he may need to axe or remove from the team is still a person. And he understands that. He understands that he has a life, and he may have kids. He may have a family. He has payments. He has a mortgage. Or he or she may have all of this, right?
Yeah.
Right? And so it does suck to have to make those kind of decisions.
I feel...
Right? Yeah. And that's what I mean by hard. They weigh. They don't have to inherently be like, do I need to get rid of him? It's a simple yes or no, right?
No, it's not. But it's not a simple yes or no. It's do I need to get rid of him or possibly move him into another position?
Yes, obviously, I'm talking about a very specific scenario where you don't have the option.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's in a way on you, right? It's not hard. It's not easy, right?
Yep. A great leader leads, but takes responsibility.
Yeah, obviously.
I feel like someone that they gotta have vision. They gotta care. They gotta take the responsibility. They got to learn to manage their impulses.
Yes. Okay, that is a trait that I would say that you have to
something
have
that leader you
good
must
impulse control.
Be able to keep calm in situations.
I think impulse control and keeping calm in situations are two different skills, though. So I think
impulse control is
delayed gratification.
No, but impulse control can also be counted into knowing what to do in situations. Like this situation might have never happened to you before. It might be the first time that something happens, right? But if you have impulse control, because the first thought that comes to your mind is going to be to do something. But the correct action is to control the impulse and think calmly on what is correctly next to do.
Yeah, what's the right thing to do
right?
Next? Yeah.
So being able to do it level-headed and clearly only comes after having impulse control.
Yeah.
Okay. In my belief, that's the only way. In my experience, my belief, all right. The only way, in my experience, from my own personal experience, the only way to have that calmness, other than from experiencing it and failing, is having the control or impulse control to stop yourself from initially doing something quickly, right? There's always exceptions.
Yeah, obviously.
Right?
There's
times where you need to act before you think, right?
Yes, or you react.
Yeah.
Right, but the goal is to not. But as a leader, the goal is not to be reactive. I feel like that is 100% something I agree with.
Exactly.
You don't want to be reactive. You want to be
And then
proactive.
another skill I think is a great leader is somebody who gets to know their team and doesn't keep them at an arm's length.
Yeah, interpersonal skills.
Interpersonal skills, yeah,
Right.
That's another good one, yeah.
Right, it's your skills to be able to.
So
you may not be, as a leader, you may not be best friends with everyone on your team, but you understand that you are inherently a team. There are roles, and you have a sense of camaraderie.
I feel like,
and a sense of respect.
But to get to that sense of camaraderie, the bonds gotta be deep. You have to trust and be okay with getting hurt, because some people will hurt you as a leader who gets personal with people. You get what I'm saying? You bring your family around, your team, right? And their families around.
I can disagree with that.
I'm not, obviously.
I disagree with that. I feel like there is a distinction between if you're leading people for your work, right, and for your family, right?
Okay.
I feel like there is a distinction, right? Like maybe select few that you work really close with, right? That you become genuine friends with. And I'm not saying that you don't have to. You can't be friends with your team, but I think there's not a need to be so far away that you're disconnected from them, or it's you and them, right? There is a need to be us, but I don't think you need to be like brothers.
No, but
you don't need to be brothers.
I'm not
to
saying
be an effective team. You
True.
just need to understand each other, respect each other, right, and have similar goals in mind.
True, but I
have the camaraderie, right? So, for example, right, I had in college a very large team under my disposal when I was the project manager for the NASA student launch team.
Okay.
And I knew everybody's name, and everybody knew my name, and everybody felt like they knew me well, and they could rely on me and ask me for help and guidance, etc. And I was there for them, right? And as a team, it's good, right? And I hung out with them, and we did things together, right? But it wasn't to the level of where I would bring them to hang out with my family. There's a very select few on the team that I work closely with. Now, I'm not saying they're bad people. No, I'm not saying that they're
obviously
bad, right? But I'm saying that it's not a requirement. I don't think that you need to be in that, right? But I do agree with you, though, that it is a requirement that you need to understand as a leader and as a team member that your leader, or need to feel like your leader has your back regardless of what happens, and vice versa. That is the trust that I think you need to build.
You need to build.
Right.
Actually, but I believe slightly different than you. If you're going to be a leader, it's not something that you do just at your work or as the owner of the business. It is something you do in your everyday life.
Well, you can't lead people who don't want to be led.
No. To be a leader, you need to show respect. You need to be respectful. You need to be conscious of other people.
Yeah.
Okay, there are things to leadership that you need to do on an everyday basis.
But
you need to lead your family.
I would argue half of those are just
decent
things that you should do as a decent human being. That I believe that you should do as a decent human being. I don't think being respectful is inherently linked to leadership. I think it's just something that people need to learn. No.
I think it
is an aspect.
No. Give me an example of a great leader that doesn't respect everybody.
Who?
Exactly. Who? I said, give me an example. Somebody that is a great leader, but doesn't respect everybody.
Okay, I can give you a hot take. You're not going to like it.
Yeah. Okay.
Hitler
what?
Hitler, argumentatively, at a specific point, right, from a specific lens,
okay,
was a good leader to what he considered his people, right? What he thought was his people, right? I'm not saying he was a good guy, and I'm not saying he's a great leader that we should model anything after him.
No.
Right?
I'm saying, but I think you're confusing it.
Successful. I guess not successful.
I don't consider him. I don't consider him a great leader.
I don't consider him a great leader either. Just to give me a leader that has.
But no, I said give me a great leader that did not respect everybody. Hitler.
George Washington.
Hitler did not respect everybody, but he was not a great leader. He was a leader, and maybe in his leadership skills, not from the bad stuff that he did, right? You could say he was decent, but he led in more of what you would say the dark side of leading, where he used violence.
Yes,
he used fear.
Totalitarian. Yeah,
exactly.
I guess that was a bad example.
That's not considered a great leader.
That's a bad example, yeah.
You know, nobody says he was a great leader. I don't hear that. You don't hear that shit. You do not hear that.
Yeah.
That was a terrible example.
That was a bad example. But I'll give you a different one then.
You just mentioned George Washington. Okay.
Yeah.
What about George Washington?
He was a great leader for the American people.
And who did he not respect?
George Washington was a slave owner.
Okay.
So, I highly doubt that he respected his slaves, because we saw how slaves were treated. And he was a very wealthy, large plantation in Virginia slave owner.
True.
Right?
Yes, but that doesn't mean that he didn't respect. Look, I know this is gonna sound. People. How do you know that? We know from history that some plantation owners, even though they had slaves, they did respect their slaves.
Keyword in that some, no?
Some. We don't know if George Washington was one of them. We can't say for a fact. It's like...
I get what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? We cannot say because like some people own dogs, but they don't respect them. They're their pets. But then there's people that have pets that respect them.
Okay, I'm going to take your... I understand your point of view, but now I'm going to take your own words and say that. You don't know that any leader respects everybody then. Because you can never know what another person truly knows and feels. So it's only a belief.
I guess then
it is your belief
will change
that leaders need to be respectful, and that is a...
Let me rephrase. Then let me correct myself. I feel that a great leader should be someone who strives to respect everybody.
Yes. That is something I can concur with. But I also think that's not just a characteristic of a great leader. That's just a characteristic of a good person.
Yeah, but you can't be a great leader without being a good person. In my opinion, you cannot be a great, fantastic, a leader, somebody who you consider a leader without being a great person.
Yeah.
So then, in that sense, I see it that has to be a trait.
Striving to be a great person.
Yes, striving to be.
Strive to.
I feel a leader that's another one that you reminded me of right now. Is somebody who is striving to constantly learn and be better. That is another trait that I believe a great leader should have.
Yeah, you always want to be better.
You should be educating and sharing your knowledge. You should be sharing and willing to share what you've learned with everybody. And not keep it like the old timers that they say. Try to keep the information. I feel when you share your knowledge that you've experienced, you've learned, and someone else now learns it with their experiences, which are different than yours, they could experience or learn something new and create something better from their experience plus your knowledge.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
I agree that great leaders do want to pass down information to make other people better, to make their lives better. Right? Yeah. But yeah, guys, I think that's all the time we have for today.
Yeah, we are doing this for 1 hour a day. 1 hour once a week. So I'm correcting myself.
Yeah, 1 hour a day. That's a lot of fucking episodes, man.
No. Yeah. Once a week. We're gonna shoot to do this every Saturday for an hour. Hope you guys enjoy it, and if you didn't, too bad. You don't have to watch it.
There's a lot of stuff on the internet to watch, man.
You know, and if you did,
and if you learned something, or if you agreed with something we said,
fantastic. We will try to have other people in people we know come in and share their opinions on subjects, because we would love to learn from people in different fields, and
just love to learn in general.
Yeah, I'm always striving to be better and learn new things, anything.
Just learning
interesting.
Straight, being a better person is great.
Yeah, and finance, business, agriculture, it doesn't matter. Something that I didn't know about before, space. I mean,
doesn't matter the topic, but
yeah,
we'll see how it goes. We're playing it by ear. We'll get it dialed in. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed.